Let's give Beth a big hand of applause for that inspiration. And now that I'm switching off gender, because I'm very passionate about that also, and get into this topic. If there are any water professionals who are in the back seats, can you come up as you were asked before, so that I know who the young people, I know we're all young in this room. Thank you. No, sorry, Beth and Selma, you can stay back. All right, I'm here to talk to you about leading change. And the two takeaways I just took from Beth's one was, she said, first of all, you need to get buy-in from the question that was here. And she said the main obstacle is not the technical fix. The main obstacle is not the infrastructure that you put out there. She said the main obstacle is to get community engagement and to get ownership. So I'm like, thank you, Beth. That leads us into this session quite nicely. It's called adaptive leadership. Who has, just to get a show of hands, who's heard of this term before? Thank you. Great, I got a lot of work to do. That's fine. So, thank you. But we're going to get through the slides really quickly, so we're going to just do a thank you every once in a while. That's my little cue here to say that it's the next slide. We're going to talk about mobilizing people to tackle. I know that we're all, rugby fans in this side of the world, so I put the word tackle in there. Because we address issues a lot. How many conferences do we go to and we're addressing everything? We're addressing issues. We're going to be addressing something this morning. This session is about addressing this issue. We've come to the time where we need to actually get into that stance, right? And normally, if there weren't the older people at the back looking at me like I'm going to go crazy, I would make you young professionals, this was a 2-day workshop, I'd make you stand up right now and get into that stance. Ready with the right timing, with the right technique to tackle something. We're going to tackle challenges and guess what? And love it. Tackle it and enjoy it. Tackle it and own it. Tackle it and actually enjoy every step of the way. Tackle it in the way where we're going to embrace it and make a change. It's about mobilizing others to make progress on, guess what? On deep and daunting adaptive challenges. Right, so I'm talking to young professionals who are going to be leading the Pacific in the next 5 to 10 years, or even sooner. Thank you. So what is the challenge? What is the problem that you have? It's simply the difference between your aspirations and your reality. That is the only thing that commonly defines challenge. Whatever challenge there is there, you're calling it a challenge, you're calling it a problem because you're here and you want to be over there. Because you have an aspiration and you have the reality. Thank you. So very quickly, I promise that this is not a technical, you've done all the technical sessions. I'm supposed to be the non-technical leadership session. But guess what? There's a little bit of technicality in this. Simply we're going through adaptation. So the word adaptive leadership. And when we're looking at adaptive, we want to go from here to over there. Our reality, our aspiration. And it is simply a theory, young professionals, that says to you, between those two places, there is a journey that you need to take where there are going to be some experiments. There are going to be some testing. There is going to be some things that you get wrong. There are going to be some lessons learned. There are going to be some small fails. Right? Thank you. So we're simply here. It's a 3-step process. But what I want, and I'm not going to linger here, I'm just going to set it out a little bit before we get into it. You want to understand where you are. But guess what? If you change from this to the purple color we had before, you have to recognize right at the outset that what? That some things are going to be expendable. You're making change because you want change. But the most common thing that happens is people say we want change, and then everyone just braces onto what they have, and actually don't want to change any of it. You can change, just change over there, please. You can change our office around, just don't move me. You can change that, but just make sure my Wednesdays are clocked in, right? We have to look at the situation and say, what is expendable and what are we going to keep? Those are the challenges that you have to look at. You have to then, right at the outset, identify the potential resistance to change. How many people lead change? And say, we're going to make change. And then there's resistance to change. Seunga gets resistance to change. And if you're not awesome like Seunga, you're going to be sitting there going, why is there resistance to this change? Because right at the outset, before you even start, you've got to embrace this stuff and say, well, these guys are going to resist change. And my friend who runs the water authority, she smiles through this change. I was on the other side trying to argue with her for one of the changes, and she's just calmly sitting there, smiling at me, and a whole bunch of village matais who went up to see her about change, right? Whole bunch of village matais. I'm talking 20 matais, and she's leading change. She's sitting across from me, smiling at me, you know, and quietly and firmly telling our village matais that there is change. But she expected it, right? So that's why you can go through it. Thank you. So we have to take some smart risks. We have to experiment. We have to know that there's experiment. But guess what we often don't do when we're leading change? We forget that there are going to be some failures. And that's why in the leading of change, people keep changing things because they come up against these failures and they think that actually we're in trouble now, we got to change. You know, most common example in the Pacific for us men who are in here who love rugby. Oh, we've come up against change, let's change the coach. Let's change the coach, let's change the coach, let's change the coach. All right? So you keep, but you have to understand that, hang on, let's get some tolerance in here for a little bit of failure before we start getting into that change. All right? Thank you. And then there's organizational learning. So here we are. There's that community mobilization. Thank you, Naya, for saying that, because that's what it is. There's that shared purpose. There's that long-term vision. There's that tolerance to failure. There's this common practice that you young professionals and the common language that you start to use, that you start to get into. Thank you. All right. There is a technical and then there is an adaptive part of a solution. The technical part is exactly the words that Naya used. She said, the biggest problem, the biggest obstacle is not the infrastructure, because we are good at infrastructure in the Pacific. We are good at getting those policies together. We are legislated up because we have awesome development partners who have helped us to do all of that. We are legislated up, we are policied up, we are think tanked up. You name it, we have the infrastructure. Not just the infrastructure physical, we have the infrastructure, legal infrastructure around most things that we need to change. And in water, you can hook up this whole entire Pacific with water, technically, right? With the infrastructure. However, that is the technical part of our challenge. That is the technical part of the solution as well. And technical is awesome, but we fall short when we forget that there is an adaptive part of the solution. What is the adaptive part of the solution? That's the part where we need the community engagement. That's the part where we forget that we need to deal with people's mindsets, people's behaviors, people's habits. That's the part where we forget that there are social norms and mindsets that are so deeply rooted in the Pacific that if we don't deal with those as well as your awesome technical solutions, then we are always going to limit our progress. And we're always going to limit the change that you set out to make. Thank you. So here's the sorry, just before that? Yep. So there's the technical challenge. Here you are, there's where you want to be. And guess what? There's a real simple solution to it. And we're going to apply it because we're engineers and we know the technical side of it. And we apply it and we build it. We want to get to the moon. Let's build a rocket. Impossible? Nah. Lots of technical solutions around there. And we can and we did. Built the rocket, got out to the moon. So you can fix things technically quite easily. Your expected outcome is quite clear. Right? Thank you. But in the adaptive challenge, we are now dealing with why. You want to make change? Have you thought of why? Have you thought of the purpose of why you're making this change? Let's get into the purpose. Let's get into what do we keep? What do we abandon? What do we need to learn? So these questions become a little bit more tricky. And guess what? When we're leading change, these aren't questions we want. Because we got KPIs we want to get through. You want KPIs you want to get through in the next 6 months? Come on, let's get all that technical stuff going. And we can tick all the boxes and we say we've achieved everything. These things take time. These things take longer. These things are more tricky to deal with. Thank you. So here we are. You've got your gap between your aspirations and your reality. But when you deal with just the technical part of it, you're often dealing with the symptoms. You're often dealing with the symptoms of the problem that you have, and when you're trying to lead change. You have to know the difference between the symptom and the cause. You know, we're big on gender as well, and really often as an example from the gender side of things, really often in the gender movement, people say, well, the cause, and especially in the Pacific, the cause for, you know, that domestic violence incidents that happened last night was actually he was drunk. Right? The cause was actually she was at the bingo. Who has bingo on the other side of the Pacific? Very common here. Women go to the bingo. So what we're doing is we're treating the symptom, and we forget about the cause. We're not actually dealing with the cause. So here's another one. A lot of us in the Pacific, and Beth alluded to it, although this room, we're doing really well in this room. You guys are all good with your weight in this, I have to say. Really healthy looking group we have in here. If you are overweight and if you have a heart attack, there is a simple technical solution. You know what the end product of surgery is going to be. There's a simple, you go into surgery, nowadays they even have those fancy ones where they put something here, you know, and then the patient's awake, the doctors are awake, they're all chatting away about cough, it's like a plumbing job going on there in your arteries, and then you walk out. Your heart problems, your issues of your heart just got fixed with a technical solution, awesome technical solution. If you have good medical facilities in your country, then that's what happens. Or you go into heart surgery and you come out fixed. Now, if we forget to address the mindset, the behavior, the habits around it, if we forget to ask why, what is the purpose in the first place, do you think that nice person that went off with the heart surgery will stay out there and never come back to his doctor? They will probably come back worse if we don't address what are the mindset areas in this problem. Come on, young professionals. What are the behavior changes that need to happen? It's heart problem. He's had heart surgery. If you don't change your diet, if you don't change your lifestyle, if you don't change all those hard things, well, your patient's going to be in front of you, probably worse than before. And this time, the technical fix may not be as easy to apply, because you forgot to tell them that actually the most important part of this solution is the adaptive part of this solution, is the one that deals with our habits, with our mindsets, with our behaviors. Thank you, which is on this side. All right, these are characteristics. Now there's just a couple that I want to go through because of time. I want you to look at this word called loss. It's all fun and games when you're leading change until someone loses something. It's all fun and games until there is a personal loss to you. There is a loss to your reputation. There is a loss to your status. There is a loss to your job sometimes even. There's a loss to your position. There's a loss to where you've got to be, right? So part of this is that you need to understand that there are losses. Second point I want to make, and there's a lot of them here, is people with the problem are the problem. But the people with the problem are also the solution. And a lot of the technical solutions or aspects of our things that we go out there and deal with, we fix things without actually getting the people with the problem involved. And that's why nowadays you've got stakeholder, the word stakeholder, coming out of every conference's ears. Because it's important to get into the stakeholders. But we also don't want to be technical about that. We also don't want to be young professionals who become professionals who go in and just tick a box around there as well. You need to truly understand that the people with the problem are the problem, but within there is your solution as well. That takes community engagement, the words, to a whole nother level. You've got to bring them in. They've got to be part of the solution, right? And then it's experimental. It's experimental. What kind of leader do you need to allow you to be experimental? You can't have a leader that doesn't want to take risks, right? You can't have leadership that's so careful and conservative, although that's very good. But we're talking about here now about tackling, and we're talking about here now about making change, and we're talking about breaking through those boundaries of things that are the norm. So we're going to have to tackle a few things. We're going to have to be a little bit more experimental. All right, thank you. One more. So here we are. It requires learning, You need to get out to stakeholders and get to the people with the problem. They are the solution as well. And we're going to need to run some smart experiments, right? And technical is also good, except that it's much clearer. People in authority put the technical solutions together, right? People in authority are the ones who say, let's fix this by bringing in a new law. There's no competition in Samoa. That's our latest one that we just enacted. And we have a consumer act now. We have a competition act now. We bring in the laws, right? And that is done by authority. And then we optimize execution. That's our technical fix. We do it in the best possible way. We do it in the cheapest possible way. We do it in the most efficient and effective way. And often, young professionals in your sector, that's the work that you're involved in. And you do it very well. However, I'm here to say that you do that as well as looking at the adaptive side of your challenge. Thank you. All right. And this is the usual mistake. This is the guy who goes to the doctor, gets himself heart surgery, comes out of the doctor, goes back and does exactly what he was doing before, right? That's getting done. Treating his adaptive challenge of the lifestyle that you're living with the technical solution of surgery. Treating the adaptive challenge of gender issues with a technical solution of a Family Safety Act and a Family Violence Code. Not that they are bad, they are good. But you can't treat it alone with technical solutions. You've got to get in there and help the others to bring in the adaptive part. You've got to engage people that does the adaptive part of the solution as well as all your awesome technical solutions that you're putting into place. All right, thank you. All right. Again, because losses are important, I want you to understand that if you're leading any change at any part of your career, whether it's early in your career, whether it's in a little change in your little group, whether it's a change in your division, or whether when you become the CEO, changing entire systems in the organization, please observe the losses. You're the leader. The losses that people experience around you, I'm sorry, are your problem. Right? They're things that you need to manage. They're not the things that you need to manage and go off and have a beer with your friends and talk about it on a Friday night, get it off your chest. But from Monday to Friday, you need to be the one that embraces those losses. You need to understand what those losses are, right? And you know, they're ones that you can see. You can see the time, money, and status, and security, and power. You can see those ones, right? Those are ones that are easily observed, right? But then, you know, sometimes people are missing out on getting skills and knowledge, right? and getting experience if you're not leading this well, okay? And then you've got to, we don't have time, but we would break up into groups right now and have a look at some of those. We're going to push through. Thank you. I want to introduce the notion of getting on the balcony. You know, nowadays the kids love those things that are on social media. A lot of it you see the notion of be still. Be still in this, be still in that. Someone give me an example of a be still. Well, I know you all love them. Be still and know this, and be still and know that. Young people have them all the time as these, and so people are putting together these little images with these words. You know, we're predominantly faith-based Pacific, and the verse says, be still and what? Who did that morning person say, lift home? I forgot to do it. Did you lift home? There was one hand here. Be still, you said, Grace. Be still and know that I am God. But it says, be still, right? Getting on the balcony. I want to introduce this notion of getting on the balcony. You want to observe. You want to interpret. Interpret well what you observe. You don't want to make assumptions. You don't want to interpret it in a way that upsets people. You want to make smart interpretations. And then you want to intervene. Right? You want to observe. You want to interpret your observations. Right? Too many times we observe and then we jump to intervene. Getting on the balcony is just taking time out to just make some smart interpretations of your observations. You observe something, what does it mean? You observe something, what's going on in there? You observe something, in Samoa we have a saying about the undercurrent, the strong undercurrent in the ocean. What's going on beneath? What's going on beneath there? Thank you. So, You can either be a leader who observes, leaps into action. Fantastic. That person's a real mover and a shaker. They leap into action really quickly. That's great. You're recreating the patterns of the past. Good on you. You're in cruise mode, pilot mode. You're just zooming your organization along. Everyone's happy. Yes, everyone's happy. Minister's happy. Minister's happy. All the KPIs happy. All the KPIs happy. Development partners happy. Development partners happy. We're moving along. We're making observations as we go. Let's make some action. Action taken. Good. Keep going. What are we? Cruise mode. Awesome. We are reinforcing patterns of the past. Get up on the balcony. Get up on the balcony and get a perspective that's going to generate a new future. That new circle we had in the beginning with purple inside there. All right? So you do that when you're getting up on the balcony and finding some new perspectives. Thank you. So there's one thing we need to understand when we're going from the balcony. There are expectations. There are expectations. You know when we're leaders and we forget to manage expectations? if you are not going to be adaptive enough to see all those things that we talked about earlier, you're pushing them above their limit of tolerance. Know the things that you're changing's limit of tolerance. Now, that's when you get pushed to the limit of tolerance. What's this here? We're really good in that in the Pacific. That's when we avoid the work. That's when we avoid the real work. And guess what? Sometimes doing the technical fix is avoiding the real work. You're going for the technical fix because it makes you look busy. It makes you look like you're doing a good job, right? It allows you to spend all that aid money that's right there in the pot. Okay? And you're doing it all, but you're avoiding the real work. When I say the real work is you're avoiding the mindset. You're avoiding the deeply rooted culture that you're working in. You're avoiding all the norms that are around you that people just won't change. But as long as you're doing lots of technical stuff, well, you're going to get through another year, right? And we're going to get through another annual report, and we're going to get through another, another session and another performance review, and we're going to be doing well. Thank you. Know the limit of tolerance. All right? Very quick slide on work avoidance. What is work avoidance? This is when people, instead of looking at the problem, start attacking the enemy, start looking for a scapegoat, right? Start talking about a problem by they externalize the enemy. So, we know that there's a problem, but guess what? It's those guys over there. It's that ministry. We just can't move because that ministry is just not moving. We just can't move because that ministry just haven't done this. Or we're stuck at this problem because, they just haven't passed on whatever they needed to pass to us. Right? So we just stuck here. We're in this place. We can't go anywhere. Because guess what? We just externalize. Here's attack authority. Who's seen attack authority? You know what? We can't change. Because she's just a bad boss. Because Beth over there, she's just a horrible boss. So we're just going to stay in that, let's just talk about a horrible boss moment. Let's just spend the next 3 months on that. Right? We're just going to attack authority, attack authority, attack authority. And guess what? Nothing gets done. You've just avoided the work. All right? Kill the messenger. Who's been the messenger that gets killed a lot? Right? So you're the one that's trying to lead change. You're the one that's facing the media telling them what this change is. And then you're the one that gets attacked. Know that these things are happening. This is the point of this slide. Know that it's happening and be the leaders of movers and shakers and leading change and just push through it. Just push through it. Just recognize. So that means when you're in authority and you're being attacked, smile through it. That's fine. That's just what people do. I just happen to be in authority and being attacked. Right? They externalize the enemy, they happens to be you, push through it. You're leading the change. They have to find an enemy, happen to be you to attack. Right? They kill the messenger, well, you're the one that was on TV telling them about the change. That's fine. I get it. They're going to kill me. Right? Or they're going to attack the person that's there. Then there's the scapegoats. Right? The whole system needs to find somebody. Okay? Push through. These are normal things. Right? Don't do the fake remedies. Don't deny it. Right? Don't get together sterile conflicts. Oh boy, they're dramas. Those sterile conflicts, that's like drama queen stuff, like drama king stuff. In the balance here. But people create drama, right? People create drama. Not only are they work avoidance things and smoke screens, but guess what? Man, that takes a toll on your emotional energy. It takes a toll on everything. Not even worth the drama that it's there for. Okay? Thank you. All right. Very quickly. If you're leading change and you're not thinking politically, you're not going to get very far. Young professionals, you live in a small knitted community, right, where politics plays a part. You have to learn to think politically. All right? There will be factions. There will be factions. Identify the factions. Don't sit around and talk about the factions like, ooh, they're bad people over there, well, we're over here, and they're all over there, we think this and they think that. No. Identify. Be on the balcony, leader. See the factions. There's those factions there. There are those other factions over there. These are the conservative people over here in your board. Right? They're very conservative. They ask all the questions. They don't get along with the movers and shakers of the board because those people don't ask enough questions. Right? So identify who those factions are in your team, in the system that you're about to change. But don't get all thinking, ooh, I'm never going to make this change. Those people will never agree. No, it is very normal It is absolutely normal for the system that you're trying to change to look like this. They have different points of view. Awesome. Awesome to have different points of view around the room when you're moving change. They are expecting different benefits. Great. They're a different group. They expect something different from this project. They expect something different from this thing that I'm going to lead. And they are all going to have different perceived losses. I put the word perceived in front of losses because it may not be actual losses, but those factions are all going to sit around and talk about their losses. They're all going to talk around and say, ooh, these are things that we're going to lose. Those guys they're not losing enough. We're losing more than them. Identify the factions. Understand that when you're moving change, young professionals, there will be factions. And identify who they are. You do this little exercise just with your little group of friends. Different factions, different interests, different losses, different things when you're trying to move something to a change. Thank you. This is your brain. Look after yourself. Look after yourself when you're moving and shaking change. You're making change. It is not easy. You will be attacked. People will be unhappy. You're leading change here, right? You're tackling difficult, deeply rooted problems. All right? I'm wrapping up now. Wrapping up with this. Next one. Look after yourself. See that one with the brain? Can I go back to the brain and end there? Yeah. You have to look after yourself. There are people that have expectations of you. Draw something like this. Put those expectations in there. This is your brain. There's only a very limited amount of things that you can take. All right? Then I'll go through to the end. So, you've got to know what people's expectations are of you. That slide is while we're trying to get to the end there. Yep, keep going. No, keep going. Yes, just leave it the last slide. So, if you're moving and shaking change, and there are different expectations of you, see that slide with the brain I put up? If you put all your roles and responsibilities in there, and you find that you filled it up, and it's too full, then you know that there's too much there. Then you've got to start prioritizing. All right? But I leave you with this in wrapping up. Be young professionals who understand the adaptive parts of your challenge, right? The adaptive parts of your challenge. Mobilize others by creating them motivation. You know, find the difference between the will to do it and the skill to do it. Skill to do it, you can always teach. People need to have the will to do it, right? Be young professionals that will mobilize others to take up tough challenges, right? Add bravery to your knowledge. Allow your experiments and make your small failures big successes. And thrive. Own it. Don't just take the responsibility of doing something. Take the ownership of doing it, you know? Say, I own this problem, and embrace it. Thank you very much for your time.